Welcome back. Glad to see you here. Matt Lee, he is our real estate guru. We talk about real estate affairs. Interesting time of year. We welcome you once again. Yeah. But if you're someone is in the market for a cottage, this is a good time of year. How come?
Yeah, you'd think it would be springtime, which it is, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you run into families that have decided to close the cottage for the last time. And they kind of say, you know what, maybe we're going to list the cottage now. And it happens more often than you'd think. So the people that were looking all the way through the spring and summer, and maybe they didn't find exactly what they were looking for, there's a good chance that it could be coming up now. And you know, if you're in the market for a cottage, I'd keep your eyes open right now.
I've had a chance to go to a couple of friends' cottages, not just in this area north of here with all those lakes, but within an hour drive of Kingston, there's like 1,000 lakes or something.
I know. Yeah, it's great.
Weird stat. But other cottages, and I think, man, if I had the time and if I had the money, I would love to own a cottage. Yeah. And now I'm sure a lot of people feel that way using other people's cottages.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And if you can do it, this is the time of year to look around.
Yeah, there's maintenance to it, and the one thing that I would probably suggest that if somebody was thinking about selling right now, it would be to maybe have a professional close it or help you close it if you're thinking of selling. And the reason I say that is because most people close their cottages for 20 years. I mean, they've owned the cottage, they've done it all themselves. If you're thinking of selling, if you're going to close it in the winter, or close it now, and you're thinking of selling it shortly.
Closing it, not close the deal, close the actual physical cottage.
Close the cottage. You're pulling the water out of the lake, because usually it's fed by the lake water. So you pull this tube out, and then basically what they do is they drain all the water lines throughout the cottage. They close the wood stove down. They get everything kind of tidied up and closed. I would say having a receipt for a professional helping you close that, if you're thinking of selling, is a great idea, because you know, any potential buyer that's looking at that, even though you've closed it for 20 years, you opened it back up, it was perfectly fine, all of a sudden they go to buy it today, it's already closed, they open in the spring and something's wrong. It can, you know, you don't want something to come back on you for you closing it.
It's that paper trail that shows it was done properly.
Somebody did it, somebody that was the professional, they did it, it's ready to go. I suggest that with pools, even if you were living in town. If you're thinking of selling over the winter and you have a pool and you've closed it for however many years, if it's an in-ground pool, I would have those companies that do it come close it, give you a receipt, so that if the time that you're going to sell, that receipt is there.
Have you seen problems in the past sometimes?
No, well, you know, things come up. I mean, there is things that, you know, all of a sudden, it's kind of Murphy's Law. It'd be one of these things where all of a sudden a pipe breaks, and yeah, you've seen problems along the way where all of a sudden somebody says, I've closed it for 20 years, how could there be a problem now? Well, it did happen. I mean, and it would happen that time, as much as you hate to say it. So you want to make sure that somebody comes in, takes care of it. Then the buyers feel more comfortable, and it's taken care of. So.
And people will sell a cottage. I mean, sometimes there's health issues with the family, financial issues, maybe they need that money. Sometimes the family just doesn't use it enough anymore.
And that you run into a lot is where they actually, you know, the latter. I mean, you do get estate sales, you do get people that just don't use it anymore, or, you know, there's an expense to it too. The one thing that I do use, and when we talked about this, was there's an app called Navionics. It's about $15, $16. You get it on your iPhone. When you're looking for a waterfront, people use it for boating and fishing.
So like a depth gauge almost.
It's a depth gauge. It shows you where you are on the lake. It shows you how deep the water is getting. It shows you how deep the water is at the shoreline. It'll show you stumps, actually, and it'll show you actually buoy marks, like the buoys that go down not the Trent Severn, the Rideau, sorry. So then you go down the Rideau, you have these buoy marks, so it'll show you so that if you're kind of going home in the dark, you can actually stay in between them. But what it does for the real estate market is that you can kind of stand on the end of the dock and you say, okay, well, it's this many feet deep here, and then it goes this way. So you can tell kind of, you know, is it going to be weedy? Is it going to be what you're dealing with? You know, how deep do you want the water off the end of the dock? You know, so it's something that really does help when you're buying.
I think we got about 30 seconds left. One of the most important things to actually close a cottage, if you're a new cottage owner, this time of year.
Oh, well, it's blowing out the lines to make sure that there's no water sitting in those copper lines, because you'll come back and it'll be completely blown out and you're going to have to replace the plumbing. I mean, that's the biggest thing. And I would say that having a plumber do that or help you do that the first few times, if you're a new cottage owner, that's highly recommended.
That's what the cottage is there for, to relax, enjoy yourself, enjoy life. You don't want to have any of those headaches.
No, you don't want to deal with that in the spring, because it puts a bad taste in your mouth, and you want to be there to enjoy yourself.
Or do what I do, just find friends with cottages and just take
Just
advantage
go for the
of
weekend.
them.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
Take advantage of them. Yeah. Matt, we will see you very soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Real Estate Review was brought to you by Matt Lee of Royal LePage Pro Alliance. Have a question for Matt? Ask it online at mattlee.ca.